What is up everybody, it is me DevilNeverCry, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the Faust Hat, a weapon for Dante that absolutely trivializes the game regardless of what difficulty you're playing on. For those of you who have been keeping up with my live streams, you'll know that I recently platinumed DMC 5, a hard and arduous task at times considering I had to S-rank everything on every difficulty, and that was only possible due to the Faust Hat. And we're going to be discussing why exactly you should be using it and what techniques you can use with it to absolutely destroy the game and earn those no damage multipliers and eventually those S ranks. So without further ado, let's just dive right in. First and foremost, you gotta understand that this weapon requires a lot of red orbs to use. However, the weapon itself can be used to farm and acquire these red orbs relatively easily, allowing you to gain millions of red orbs in the matter of minutes. The trade-off for using all of those red orbs, of course, is a massive damage output. So, for example, by pressing and holding the gun button, Dante will dish out a Gatling gun of red orbs that will absolutely melt enemy and boss health. The trade-off for this, of course, is the fact that this will use red orbs almost instantaneously. You can, of course, upgrade the damage the Faust Hat does by a large margin, in fact. The trade-off, of course, being the amount of red orbs that will be used will also increase. So it's sort of a risk versus reward kind of thing. Yeah, you can kind of put out an insane amount of damage and kill things relatively easily, however you'll be using a large amount of red orbs in the process, so if you don't have enough, you can quickly find yourself running out of red orbs entirely. The weapon does have a mechanic to counteract this, however, and it is the hat mechanic. A number of moves that Dante can do with the Faust Hat in and out of the gunslinger style allow him to throw the Faust Hat onto enemies, acting as a marker. This marker signifies that when you hit this enemy with any attack, regardless of whether it's with the Faust Hat or for something else, the enemies will drop a significant amount of red orbs, allowing you to replenish the orbs you might have used if using the Faust Hat. However, the trade-off for this is, if the enemies that are marked with this hat just so happen to damage you, you'll lose a large amount of orbs. Again, the effect of this is compounded with upgrades, with higher tiers giving you larger amount of orbs. However, if the enemies damage you, you in turn will lose more orbs. Now that we've discussed the basics of the Faust Hat, let's talk about the game-breaking move that will one-shot anything regardless of difficulty. I'm of course talking about the Red Hot Night move. By being in the gunslinger style, and then pressing the lock-on, moving the left stick forward, and pressing and holding the style button, Dante will enter this pose where he begins to charge up an immense attack. There are 3 tiers of charge, with each tier doing more damage. However, I found that you only need the second tier to essentially one-shot everything. There's only 1 or 2 bosses in Dante Must Die mode that might require a third charge if they're at full health. But once you reach the adequate amount of charge you want, if you let go of the style button, Dante will summon forth red orb meteors from the sky that, as I've previously mentioned, will one-shot anything and everything. I believe the third tier requires 150,000 red orbs, so you can see why exactly this move does a lot of damage. If you have the red orbs, you can essentially trivialize anything and everything. Now, what I must mention is the fact that the charge animation leaves you completely vulnerable to enemy attack, which is why you want to pull this off far away from enemies, potentially when you've got them stunned, to give yourself enough time to reach the charge level that you want. Or you could always use the camera to your advantage. If you put Dante in a corner and turn the camera so that no enemies are on screen, then you'll be able to pull off the move relatively easily in relative safety, as enemies won't be able to attack you if they're not on screen. Or, if you're fast enough, you can pull off the move whilst enemies are spawning in, allowing you to destroy them before they even get a chance to attack. And the good thing about this is that most enemies won't even need a full charge. Even a level 1 charge should be fine to completely decimate them, but should you choose to, you can charge it for as long as you want. Again, keep in mind the amount of red orbs that you have. I'd imagine this probably isn't an issue for people on PC who have access to trainers, so they can basically give themselves as many red orbs as they want, but if you're on console you might have to do some farming, so keep that in mind. And that essentially wraps up the short little tutorial on the Faust Hat, the God Killer, the Game Breaker, whatever moniker you want to give it. Subscribe and stay tuned if you liked what you saw today, as there is of course more DMC5 content on the way. With all that said and done, it has been me, DevilNeverCry. I would like to thank all of you for watching, and as always, I'll see you next video.